Welcome, my name is Frank Adler and I'm one of the founders and managing partner of Operational Excellence Consulting. We are a small, well-respected consulting company here in Southern California, and we are partnering with other consulting companies to ensure that we are providing the best services and solutions to our clients.
Achieving operational excellence requires the successful implementation of an integrated business execution system that effectively and seamlessly integrates the following four building blocks: strategy deployment, performance management, process excellence, and high-performance work teams. The primary objective of an effective strategy deployment process is to align and link business strategy and execution. People and their managers are working so hard to be sure things are done right that they hardly have time to decide if they are doing the right things. Strategy is an expression of what an organization intends to do to get from a current state to a future state. It is often expressed in terms of a vision statement, initiatives, objectives, and goals. Our experience has shown that the effectiveness of developing and deploying strategic plans significantly improves when integrating strategy maps and Hoshin planning principles and tools, for example the Hoshin X matrix. As part of the performance management block, we will then be able to link the strategy deployment process with balanced scorecards to address some of the most common strategy execution challenges. Some of them are mentioned here on this slide. We normally propose to our clients the use of this six-step process to develop an organization's strategic and operational plan. The black symbols on the right side of step 3, 5 and 6 indicate the use of so-called catchballs. This is a Hoshin planning method and very effective to ensure that the entire organization is aligned around a clear and concise vision and strategy. For now, I would like to discuss two concepts we use as part of our strategy development process, namely strategy maps and the Hoshin X matrix. Strategy maps, or I like to call them also strategic grids, are based on a concept called the 4 dimensions or perspectives of a balanced scorecard. Let's assume that one of the strategic breakthrough or Hoshin objectives and strategic focus areas an organization has been identified is to increase the shareholder value. The organization defines that accomplishing this objective requires achieving revenue growth of 20% in 2014. Not an atypical objective for the financials of an organization. Now the organization faces several options to achieve this objective. For example, the organization could decide that they want to sell more products to existing customers, or to launch new products to existing customers, or sell existing products to new customers. Therefore, strategic decisions are required to determine how an organization will grow revenue by 20%. Let's assume the organization decided to grow revenue by acquiring more customers for some of the existing products. The next question is what the organization needs to do with respect to their internal business processes to acquire more customers. Let's assume the organization decides that it needs a new or better customer marketing and service program to be able to attract new customers. That finally leads to the question, what is needed from the organization and organizational structure to develop a new or better customer market and service program. Let's assume that organization recognizes that it needs to develop its support systems and support personnel to establish and execute a new customer markets and service program. Keep in mind that we are trying to link everything together. This is critical to build an effective and well-defined strategic plan. Means we need to capture the cause and effect relationships between those 4 dimensions or perspectives. Obviously, in some cases the organization needs to be more detailed and break down the objectives and initiatives within each of the 4 perspectives. Here you see an example of how that could look like for the financial perspective. The organization identified 2 financial objectives: revenue growth by 20% by 2014 and operating cost improvements of 15% by 2014. The revenue growth will be accomplished through new sources of revenue and increased customer profitability. The operating cost improvements will be accomplished through lower operating cost and higher utilization of existing assets. So we will flow our strategic objectives down each balanced scorecard perspective within a grid of boxes, making sure that everything is linked. This grid will then serve as the foundation for constructing the balanced scorecard. And here's an example for the complete strategic map or strategic grid for one strategic breakthrough or Hoshin objective and strategic focus area: increase shareholder value. It is of course up to the organization to decide how much information to include in one strategic map or grid. In most cases, an organization will have several of these strategic grids, at least one for each strategic breakthrough or Hoshin objective and strategic focus area. We use the term strategic model to describe a complete set of strategy maps or strategic grids of an organization. Another very effective method we are utilizing in our strategy deployment process is the so-called Hoshin matrix or Hoshin X matrix. The Hoshin X matrix is a tool that visualizes an organization's strategic objectives, strategic initiatives, key performance indicators, key projects and action items, and human resource requirements in one simple matrix. The Hoshin X matrix enables an organization to easily review the alignment of its strategic objectives, strategic initiatives, key performance indicators, key action items, and human resources. The missing alignment between objectives, tasks, and resources is very often one key contributor to a failed strategy deployment effort. Let's have a little bit more detailed look at this Hoshin X matrix. I know the font is quite small, but for now I just would like you to understand the key elements of this matrix. Section 1 lists the organization's strategic objectives and goals. For example, improve Net Promoter Score to 50%. The Net Promoter Score is a metric used by some organizations to measure customer satisfaction. Section 2 lists the organization's strategic initiatives and tactics. For example, resolve the top 3 product return drivers or implement a Lean Six Sigma program. Section 3 lists the organization's key performance indicators from the balanced scorecard. And we will discuss this section in more detail when we talk about performance management. Section 4 lists the organization's tactical projects and action items. For example, establish a Lean Six Sigma project for each of the top 3 product return drivers, or implement a reliability program for new products. And finally, Section 5 lists the organization's human resource allocation and requirements, at least for critical skill sets such as project leaders and subject matter experts. The areas, like the one indicated by the red triangle, are visualizing the correlation between the different sections we just discussed, and thus just make sure that the overall strategy is coherent and complete. For example, this section indicates the correlation between the organization's strategic initiatives and tactics and the organization's tactical projects and action items. Obviously, every strategic initiative needs to have correlating projects and action items to be executed effectively. I sure wish I'd done a better job of communicating with GM people. I'd do that differently a second time around and make sure they understand and shared my vision for the company. Then they would know why I was tearing the place up, taking out whole divisions, changing our whole production structure. I never got this across. Communication is of course a vital component of every strategy development and deployment process. Some people will learn that the hard way. The advantage of the strategy maps and the Hoshin X matrix we just discussed is that they can be developed very collaboratively, and they are very visual and very helpful in discussing and modifying an organization strategy with different parts of the organization to ensure that the final strategic model is well understood, accepted, and supported by everyone in the organization. And here you can see some of the additional tools we use as part of a typical strategy development and deployment process implementation. If you are interested in our strategy development and deployment approach using Hoshin Kanri, please call us for a discussion or a proposal. I hope you enjoyed this short introduction, and hopefully we'll hear from you in the near future.
As you may have seen, our website is not the typical consulting website, as one of our objectives is to provide an online resource center for everyone interested in operational excellence. So have a look and also check out our e-store where you can find some of our training material. If you think that we can help you to initiate your own operational excellence initiative, give us a call or send us an email, and we are looking forward to discussing with you the next steps.